Alrighty, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Comics Run the World podcast. And was it episode 3 of Spider-Tober now?
Spider-Tober.
We're almost done. We got a week left maybe?
Yeah, I think one more episode of Spider-Tober after this.
Yeah, and at least at the day of this recording, tomorrow or for some midnight tonight is the release of Spider-Man 2 for PS5, which I'm not envious at all in the slightest. But it is what it is. Before we get into today's topics, gotta start this off. Well, like with every other episode, what are you reading, watching, or playing, or will be playing later on?
I've been reading a lot of comics again. I
Nice.
feel like I stopped for a while. But I've been traveling and just been reading comics again. I got back into the second part of Mark Waid's Daredevil. I'm almost finished. I've got like 6, 7 issues left of Mark Waid's Daredevil, and then I read the Books of Doom,
Nice.
which was
Yeah.
like, dude, that
It's
was
great.
so good. That was so good. Like, that was an actual 5-star out of 5-star. Like,
Yeah.
100%.
That whole thing is awesome.
Yeah, that was absolutely amazing. And then, that's mostly been it. I've been mostly reading the Daredevil run. But yeah, I mean, just been nice to get back into reading comics besides the ones that we read for the podcast. So, what about you?
Feel that. Right now, was it? I just finished reading. What did I just finish reading? I just started reading today. Captain Marvel, the 2018 run by Kelly Sue DeConnick. I just got past the first issue, and so far I'm really liking it. But what I just finished reading was Static Shock, the first volume of Static Shock from
How was that?
Milestone. It's pretty good. I really like it. It was a little too fast paced for me because it kind of just glanced over some stuff, which I just wish they kind of talked about a little bit more. But I'm pretty sure that's going to happen later on in the series. But I really liked that. Really enjoyed myself reading it. I haven't watched the Static Shock animated series, but I did see him in like some episodes of Justice League, Justice League Unlimited, stuff like that. But I had a great time right now reading Captain Marvel by Kelly Sue DeConnick. So far, it's great. I've been playing a lot of Stardew Valley lately. I
Dude,
got
I
back
saw
on
that.
Yeah, I got
Stardew
back
is.
on that.
I love Stardew. I love Stardew.
Dude, I was like, I have a test to do, and it's due tonight. I was gonna do it yesterday, but I was too busy playing Stardew Valley. I was like, I gotta get these, these minerals in so I can get some money because it's winter now. I got no crops, so yeah.
Dude, Stardew, it's such a cozy game. Me and my friend did a whole playthrough and we completed the community center. We did like everything.
Damn.
So yeah, I love Stardew Valley. Super
Yeah.
just cozy little fun game. I also forgot I've been reading all of the Insomniac Spider-Man
Yeah.
comics. I've been posting TikToks about those. They're fine.
Yeah.
Although I will say the Black Cat one is by far the best one.
Really.
Like, it's actually like really good. It delves into half of the comic is just the story of the DLC, which whatever. It's the same as City at War. It's just like we're seeing stuff we already have seen.
Yeah.
But the Black Cat Strikes, half of it is Peter's past before the video game. It shows him and Mary Jane breaking up. It shows him getting together with Black Cat. They fight crime together. They fight Electro together. They fight Shocker together. And it shows like their relationship and just shows that he really should be dating her. But
Right. Yeah.
and it also shows like an extended ending of the DLC. And it's probably, I mean, not probably, it is what the comics should be for Insomniac Spider-Man. It builds on the universe instead of just retelling the same shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Very, very true.
But I just read, I haven't posted the TikTok for it, but I just read Spider-Man 2 #1. It's like the prelude to the game. And I feel like it's the reason they just retell the story because nothing happens. Like you can tell they're like scared. And it makes sense. They don't want to do something that'll either conflict with the game or you know, they want it's very clearly like you can do a comic, but like don't do anything major.
Play it
Like,
safe, essentially. Yeah.
So it's very, very, very safe. Like
Okay.
they have some interesting villains. They have the Hood is in there.
Okay.
And that's pretty interesting to see. But
The Swarm make an appearance or no?
not in Spider-Man 2. He's in Velocity and he's in City at War. And I really hope he's a little side quest man. And he's also mentioned in the video game, so
Yeah.
that'd be really cool to see him. But
Hopefully we get a Swarm instead of Screwball again.
Swarm replace Screwball. And the
Yeah.
Blur? No.
Oh my god. Imagine. But yeah, I'm very jealous I can't play Spider-Man 2 for a long while now.
That's all right. You'll get there.
Yeah, I'll get there eventually within a couple months, or who knows. But I've been seeing a lot of cool stuff. It's already released in New Zealand right now, so people are already posting their gameplays and stuff like that.
Yeah, somebody was live playing the game yesterday. I wanted to break my phone. Stupid idiots.
I'd look at all the leaks, all the gameplay. It looks really cool, and it just makes me more pissed off that I don't have a PS5 yet. But anyways, speaking kind of more or less about Spider-Man 2, since Kraven is in Spider-Man 2, we read Kraven Last Hunt.
Yeah.
This was my second read. The first time I read it was years ago, so I was due for a reread, and it's awesome. I really liked it. This is the first time you read it, right?
This is the first time I ever read it. By the way, I read it twice.
Oh,
I read it, and then about 3 days later, I read it again.
I sent you the link to this article from combocarol.com, which kind of dissects the story of Kraven's Last Hunt, like how it was initially supposed to be a story about, was it Wonder Man?
And the Grim Reaper.
Yeah. And
then it was going to be Batman and the Joker. But that's when the Killing Joke was being made. So then he came back and made it a Spider-Man story.
Yeah. So it was like a whole flip-flop at the beginning before this story actually got made. But since this is the first time you read it, I kind of want to pick your brain about it. What would you think about it?
I read it twice because it was one of those times, I've talked about this before, where like what I expected and what I got were two very different things, and it kind of like messed with me. Like, one big thing that I didn't realize is this story is like right before the creation of the symbiote suit. So the suit here is not, it's just a black suit. Like, it's not changing Peter, and there's like, in the beginning, there's kind of this inner monologue with Peter, and he's like basically saying, why should I care about these goons that have died, these just like basic thugs? And I thought it was like edgy Peter, like, why the hell should I care about these stupid? But it's what he's actually saying is like why should I care about them? Like, because that's who I am, and because I'm Peter Parker. I'm not Spider-Man, I'm Peter Parker. So I kind of like read it wrong the first time I read that monologue, because I thought it was the symbiote suit. I also, Kraven really surprised me in this. Like, he's like, but it's done on purpose. But I just wasn't expecting it. But like he's crazy as shit in this
He's
comic.
insane. Yeah.
Like, I'm used to the Kraven that's like, I want to beat you in hand-to-hand combat and be the better like fighter. But he uses like a gun here. And it's kind of because he's going crazy, and that kind of threw me for a loop. But once I kind of grasped all that, and my second read through, I enjoyed it a lot more, and I kind of got what it was going for more. I think I just came in with different expectations. But what did you feel on your reread? And
my reread, I had a great time with it. I remember the first time I read it, I was very confused. I was like, what happened? Like, what really happened here? Well, because it's not necessarily that straightforward.
No,
as
it's
a
very
story.
trippy. It's very trippy.
Very trippy, very nightmarish. Um, this was like I think this was my first comic introduction to Kraven a while back. So I was again, me too. I was thrown for a little bit like, oh, this guy's crazy. um, but he kind of just in a way he does it to himself, where he just
Yeah.
drinks a bunch of herbs, roots, potions to basically like fracture his mind in order to
He like eats spiders.
yeah. I was like, okay, yeah, I totally forgot about this part. A nice up close shot of him munching down on spiders. I'm like, that's fair enough. But I like it a lot because again, it takes a more darker route on this like a popular character, and this is during the time where Killing Joke, Watchmen, uh, Dark Knight Returns,
Yeah.
like the that paradigm shift of comics going to a darker route. I feel like this is essentially Marvel's response to that,
Yeah.
and does it very, very well.
I don't know. I was very conflicted on how I felt about it for a while, and then I reread it. I'm still like kind of conflicted because I don't, it's really like out there. It's really trippy and experimental, and I think a lot of the stuff you're not supposed to know whether it's happening. Like after he does all that and he drinks the herbs, he basically fights a giant spider made out of spiders.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's more of like in his head, like
Yeah,
because I feel like that's more of what this comic is more like psychological horror and like than
yeah,
really a battle between the characters. Like my favorite part was when Peter's like dead, not really,
mm-hmm.
but and he basically is escaping through it's like that tunnel, and he like is a spider, and like my favorite quote is like, you've murdered a mask but you haven't murdered the man.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the theme pretty much throughout this whole thing, is like he's not the spider, he's Peter Parker. Like that's who he is. The Spider-Man is just a mask, and
exactly.
it's like his love for Mary Jane that kind of gets him out of the grave. So
Yep.
that was definitely my favorite aspect of the comic, was like just seeing that like he's Peter, not Spider-Man. So also I feel like this, like you said, like the Dark Knight Returns is very like cinematic. It's got the lightning like bolts,
Yeah.
and as he's escaping, you're seeing Kraven like it keeps saying like he's coming or whatever, and like as
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man's returning to go fight him, it felt like very cinematic, and I love that a lot.
Yeah, a lot of visual storytelling happens here, and one of the more prominent ones is the uses of like the skinnier panels to kind of convey either like a progressing emotion or event that's happening. Like, for example, when Spider-Man appears behind Kraven, he like slowly like realizes that he's behind him, and then the caption is "he's here"
Yeah,
and stuff like that. So it's pretty badass. It's very I don't know. I don't know if I would say cerebral, but it's very blends in like delusion and reality in a sense.
yeah. Kraven will go from like laughing to almost crying, and a panel right next to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was to say one thing about it, this is a story that you see. I feel like everyone recommends this story to like people like, oh, I want to read a Spider-Man story. Which should I read? Kraven's Last Hunt. I would
Yeah.
not recommend this to someone
No,
who's just
yeah.
getting into Spider-Man comics. Like, I would not at all. It's
Right.
very weird, very trippy, and I think you have to have some context going into this. Like, it's called Kraven's Last Hunt, but like for a reason. Like, it's this is like, as you find out at the very end, his last hunt.
Yeah.
Like, this is him going crazy after Spider-Man's continued to best him, and also knowing that it's not the Venom suit. I feel like a lot of people would go into the story thinking it's the symbiote suit, and it
Right.
would kind of confuse them a bit, like it did with me. But yeah, this one, it's just not one that I would be like, oh, you want to get into Spider-Man? Check this one out. Like,
Yeah, no, because there's like this little poem that like it's being said by Kraven. Oh, is it Spider burning braids and something along those lines? And I looked it up, and it's by a poet named William Blake. So it's still the same exact poem, except for it being a spider, it's a tiger. But instead of the I, it's a Y. So it's kind of like the poem's basically questioning, um, why would God make such a deadly creature like a tiger, but make an innocent animal like a lamb? Essentially,
Yeah.
it's kind of that questioning because that whole like saying that he says throughout the comic is only the first stanza out of 4 or 5 in the original poem. So it just pretty just asks like that question, like questions like that. So I thought that was very interesting, and also pulls from, because I'm looking at the article right now from Comic Herald right .com, where it also pulls from Russian authors back in the day from like the 1900s and so on. But I'm gonna butcher this last name. It's Dostoevsky, who wrote I think Crimes and Punishment, Brothers Karamazov, those type of book. So he pulls influence from that because in the beginning, Kraven's saying like how his family was thrown out because of the Lenins and all the other Russian powerhouses back in the day, and it kind of just repeats it throughout the story every so often. So it adds a little bit more layer, and like for you to really understand, I feel like you would have to look up what each of these little things mean, and kind of just do like your own research on the context of everything in a sense.
Yeah. I don't think you would need like the context of like all of Craven's like past battles with Spider-Man, but it's not really the context you would need. It's just like a very different comic.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of out there in a good way, but
Yeah.
it's not something I'd want to start out on, but maybe that's just me. Maybe some people would love starting out on that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was the same when I first read this, like years back. I didn't know what happened. I was like, oh, okay, he killed Spider-Man, quote unquote, became Spider-Man, bested Spider-Man by like name in a sense, where he defeats his Vermin, which was a character that Spider-Man needed help with from Captain America. And then Spider-Man comes back from the dead, quote unquote, and doesn't really defeat Kraven, but just confronts Kraven, and that's it. But there's like a lot of layers to this story, both with Kraven's past and just like the literary aspect of it too, and visually too, because I feel like some people will be confused with like Kraven fighting a giant spider made out of spiders, or
Yeah.
Peter in that limbo-esque white page where you
Yeah.
see, and that not random, but people won't know who like Ned Leeds is because they might associate him with the Ned Leeds in the MCU, but that's different
Yeah.
from the Ned Leeds we get in this story. So it is confusing if you never read Spider-Man and this is your first go at it. So yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. I also just think if you're wanting to get into comics, it's better to start out with more of a simple story, a simple but effective one.
Yeah.
That, and this comic is anything but simple. It's not a simple story.
That's very true.
I also think now that I've read it, I think everyone like says they want to see Kraven's Last Hunt in a movie, but to do that we would have to see Kraven normally. Like you can't just do this in a movie like Kraven's Last Hunt, because that would mean all of Kraven and Spider-Man's battles beforehand would have been off screen. Like I feel like that'd be a bit weird. I don't think for this to be a movie, you would have to like see Kraven in the first movie of Tom Holland's trilogy, and then like it would have to be like the third movie maybe.
Yeah.
And then also it couldn't really be the black suit because like I said, the black suit wasn't the symbiote suit here, so it definitely have to do. You have to do some tinkering. Maybe Spider-Man 2 will do that. Like maybe, maybe that's the
Maybe.
first time we'll see them try and do a Kraven's Last Hunt with a symbiote type suit. That could be really interesting.
That would be really cool. Yeah, I don't really see how this could work as a movie because even if you haven't read any Spider-Man before this, you can tell there is history between these two guys, and it works in a comic because you can just go back and read other Spider-Man Kraven stories. But in a movie, if you're just thrown into like, oh yeah, these two has been fighting for a while, and then all of a sudden he just goes insane.
Yeah, I feel like that's just tough to do in a movie. Like, oh, we've
Yeah. Plus, like an MCU movie, I feel like they want to have the villain blow his brains out at the end.
yeah, that's
No, yeah, I don't think so.
I don't know. Maybe if they really change their tune with this, I would love to see a darker Spider-Man trilogy with Tom
Yeah.
Holland because we've already gotten a more lighthearted one, so could be interesting. But I would assume the symbiote suit's like most definitely going to be in this upcoming trilogy. So
Hopefully, because if not, that post credit scene from No Way Home will be pointless.
yeah.
Um,
What did you think of my least favorite part of the comic? What did you think of Vermin?
Vermin.
Vermin.
Um, I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent about Vermin because I had opinions about everything before. That article that I read kind of changes my whole perspective about everything. Um, but in and of itself, Vermin, it's kind of tough to say for me because I'm just so indifferent about Vermin. I wouldn't say the story would work without him, but then again, if I really think about it, maybe not because I'm pretty sure Vermin was supposed to represent something in the story that's probably went over my head. um,
I mean, I felt like he was just kind of a pawn for Kraven in his whole scheme. And the times when he's more of a pawn, I felt like it was fine. But then there's times where it really focuses on Vermin. You keep seeing this little rat around, like in some of these smaller panels. And there's a part when he licks a cop's face and says, "I love you." And
yeah, I was like, oh, cool, okay.
I don't know. I felt like he just. I mean, and then the final issue is pretty much just Spider-Man and Vermin. Like,
hmm
Kraven is dead at that point, and you get to see like a really great part where they're like, wait, Kraven basically in his suicide note like showed that like it was me the whole time being the brutal Spider-Man because people, Kraven basically becomes Spider-Man while Spider-Man is dead and acts as Spider-Man, but is obviously more brutal, and people are starting to get worried that Spider-Man's
Yeah,
going crazy. But he basically shows in a suicide note to the cops like it was me the whole time. It wasn't the actual Spider-Man. But other than that, in the final issue, it's all Spider-Man versus Vermin, and I kind of sat down for a bit. I was like, this is okay.
yeah. I feel like I don't know. I feel that there's like a deeper meaning behind having Vermin because in the story we get four different narrators in a sense. We get Mary Jane, Spider-Man, Kraven, and then Vermin, and I feel like they all play some sort of deeper role in this that it's probably just going over my head or whatever. Um, yeah, but I don't know. I'm like very indifferent about it because I feel like there's something more that I can't explain or like understand like what it is.
I don't know. I mean, I just feel like he was a part of Kraven's scheme, and I will say, like at the end, kind of the finale of Kraven Spider-Man, I felt like genuinely really bad for Vermin. He's in this
Yeah,
cage, and he's like literally like, "Help me!" Like, and I felt really bad for him because you can tell he's. I don't know the full history of Vermin, but you can tell he's one of those creatures that like is probably transformed into a abomination and like doesn't want to
yeah,
be this like villain, but has become just like this fucking atrocity of a creature.
yeah,
So I mean, I feel bad for him.
yeah. I think if I if I remember correctly, it might have been Baron Zemo turned him into like a rat human hybrid type thing.
Yeah.
I think, if I remember correctly, that's kind of why like Captain America was tied into Spider-Man defeating Vermin. That's what, if I remember correctly, that's what happened. But yeah, I can definitely see like where you're coming from with like having Vermin just like as a pawn and using him for the entire last issue in a sense.
Yeah, I just felt like even in the some of the earlier issues, it would just cut to him, and it would be like he kept being like, oh, like I kind of remember, but I don't, and he was like going through the sewers, and then he came out of the sewers, and like it just felt like there was a lot more of him than there needed to be. I felt like the focus should have been just more on. I would have liked seeing Kraven, going out and doing his thing, or Spider-Man. I don't know, just felt like it was a bit too heavy on the Vermin at some points.
I get that. Yeah. Was it what was something else that you were kind of like either iffy on or something that really really stood out for you when you read this?
The stuff that stood out to me, like I said, I love the intro of Spider-Man. The goons are like really afraid of him, but he goes to actually just pay his respects to this dead, just random thug.
Yeah.
And I love that intro. Just a both because it goes between Kraven and Spider-Man, and I loved just the whole introduction of the comic. I loved the cinematic feel, but I don't know, like the whole part where Kraven's like licking the venom and he's fighting the spider, and like it was all just like a little bit too trippy for me.
Right. I get that. No, I understand that because no, yeah, I totally get that.
That's kind of like my broader feel is like at some points I was like just like okay, like I mean it just feels like it was going over the top with like the 80s edginess at some points, like with the but overall it's definitely an impactful story for sure.
Yeah. I also one thing that I really liked story wise was the fact that Kraven was so dead set on believing that there is something inside of Spider-Man, something like supernatural or spiritual in a sense that made him who he is, and he essentially refused to believe that Spider-Man is just a person, just like flat out just a person. So I feel like that aspect where like he tries to like make himself believe that Spider-Man's supernatural, he got his powers from by some mystical element or whatever. And I think that's something that he begins to realize more towards the end.
Yeah, he definitely does. Yeah, I forget the quote, but he kind of realizes like he's just a man.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part. Like I already talked about, Spider-Man's like coming back and he's like, no, I'm Peter Parker. I'm not. I that was my favorite part. Just like the theme of like the spider and the man. I liked.
Yeah.
I like that because he is at the end of the day just Peter Parker. Like that's
makes
him
very
so
true.
interesting.
The art and like the paneling and all that. What do you think about that? Because in my opinion, this is like some of like the best I've seen in a while. At least for like a Spider-Man comic.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 for the art for sure. Like
yeah.
That's it. Like I said, it reminded me of The Dark Knight Returns. It's very cinematic with the art. It's dark, but like it's very atmospheric. Like it fits the mood perfectly. There's one part I really love where I don't know like if it's actually in the comic or I own the trade paperback, so it was one of the pages was Kraven as Spider-Man and he's like upside down, kind of like how this t-shirt is.
Yeah.
But the spider web is a rope because it's Kraven.
Oh.
I'll pull it out real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, you can see it's a rope because it's Kraven. I love that. Just like small little detail, but very cool.
I'll show you my favorite. I have a lot of favorite panels or pages from this, but this is my favorite.
Yeah, I mean
It's so badass, just him bursting out of the ground. Plus, like the little text, like his motivation to escape and survive, essentially, is just right there. I
And
mean,
just the way the rain is drawn and the
yeah,
colors, like the purple. The art is like by far for me the highlight of this entire comic.
yeah.
Like I know we've been talking about the story the whole time, but
It's just, I mean, it's amazing. Like this visual storytelling right here with him going back
yeah.
to MJ, but then him realizing he has to go back out and he can't stay there and relax. That's just awesome. I mean, like you said, like the rain, everything. It's just, and this
Yeah,
awesome.
like no words at all right here, but well besides he's here, but it just the story's on the page, like that's
It's
it's
very
perfect.
effective.
Yeah.
And like also the covers too are awesome. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of that I liked, and I also like the fact that this whole story basically took hold of all the ongoing Spider-Mans going on that time. We got Web of Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man.
Spectacular, I think. Spectacular
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
it's been spectacular just to convey more that the illusion that Spider-Man is actually dead. And this is like that's something where I really like with an event like this that takes place during different titles with a reason. Because nowadays they just take place across different titles and events just to like a money grab
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah, money.
But there's a actual reason why they did this, just to convey that Spider-Man is dead and then Kraven basically took over in a sense, which again, another layer that I really liked about the story.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about the story because I think, that's what you got to talk about, but at the end of the day, the art it's real
awesome.
it couldn't be any better in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the paneling and it just like that's kind of the reason I think I ended up liking it as much as I did, cuz I think really the story is just not 100% for me. I think I can just kind of admit that like there's great moments. There's cinematic moments like the he's here, he's coming, and like him crawling out. But at the end of the day, I don't think I really have a super big connection to this story. I don't think I love it that much, but I love when I can still enjoy a comic when it has such good art, and like no matter what, you're gonna enjoy.
Yeah,
You're gonna enjoy it.
absolutely. Totally agree. Um so with that being said, what would you rate it out of, was it 5 or 10? I keep forgetting.
Five, five.
5.
I mean, I do five because that's what I have to do on League Comic Geeks. That's why I do. I would probably do 10 if it wasn't for
Right.
League Comic Geeks, but I feel like I got to keep it in line with what I'm doing there.
Yeah, I agree.
It took me a long time, but I settled on 4 out of 5 stars.
Okay. Okay.
I couldn't
I
go
gave it a
lower than
5 out of
4.
5.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw your review. I couldn't go lower than 4, but I couldn't go higher than 4.
I agree. I get that a lot, but I give it a 5 out of 5 just because on the aspect of it's just like me with like storytelling, both in comics, books, movies, whatever, where there's a repeating pattern in a book or in something like a medium or whatever. And for this case, it's the spider burning bright thing that I was like, I wonder what that's from. It makes me want to do like look more in depth into everything, and that way I get like more out of it in a sense. That's what like I really like, where I have to like go out of my way and look and do like a little bit of research to understand how everything works and fits together with the story. And I don't know, that just kind of satisfied me.
Another thing I also liked that I kind of forgot about was you were saying how each character has a different narration, like color and font or whatever. But sometimes a character will have 2 narration bubbles going at a time.
Yeah.
Which I would usually not like, but I feel like it really works here. And it kind of goes between, I feel like their thoughts, but then the other narration bubble will be like the thoughts that like are almost just like shouting at them. That's like almost like
Yeah.
they're
They're
scared
intrusive
thoughts. Yeah, intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I loved that because that's something I feel like everyone can relate to. Like what you're trying to tell yourself versus like what yourself is telling you. Like
Exactly, like with Kraven saying how he's Kraven the hunter, and then the little that progressively gets bigger and bigger text narration bubble saying "I'm afraid, I'm scared," and all that stuff. Same thing with Spider-Man. I feel like it's the same thing with all the characters, if I remember correctly. How like their intrusive thoughts are like saying that they're scared.
It does happen with Mary Jane. If it happens with Vermin, I don't care. But with Mary Jane, it's when Peter's been kind of missing because he's like dead, and she's like, "Oh, he's out doing his thing," and then it's a one where it's like he's dead. Like, 'cause obviously that would be her intrusive thought when your boyfriend is literally Spider-Man. So yeah, I love those a lot.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I praised it a lot in my review on League of Comic Geeks, and it's amazing. I really like it.
It's solid. I'll get to what I'm about to say in a little bit because
Okay.
I'll save a little bit, but I have this. You sent me this thing. Let me pull it up real quick.
Shout out to Moen0080 on Twitter.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of questions about what's your favorite or least favorite Spider-Man thing. So I guess we'll just go from left to right and say our answers. What is your favorite Spider-Man story?
So I want to preface this. I haven't read that much Spider-Man. I read just like a few. But I do have opinions about these. Though they may be limited. Granted, all of the Spider-Man stories out there. For me, favorite story is the one we just reviewed. It's Kraven's Last Hunt.
Okay. My favorite story is definitely Spider-Man Blue. Definitely my favorite Spider-Man story. Without a doubt. I think it's the best Spider-Man story that I've read, and I don't think it'll be topped. But
all right.
I'll say a runner-up, though. Honestly, Spider-Man PS4. The main story.
That's fair. I mean, yeah. It is a great, and I'm not upset about not playing the sequel.
Not upset. Favorite Spider-Man run.
I've only read 2 Spider-Man runs, and their entirety or almost their entirety. But my favorite amongst the 2 is the original Stan Lee and Steve Ditko Spider-Man run.
Okay.
It's
go
great.
wrong with that. Can't go wrong with that one. Mine is definitely Ultimate Spider-Man. Without a doubt. Definitely my favorite Spider-Man run. No contest.
Fair enough.
Best soundtrack. There's a lot of good Spider-Man soundtracks.
I know. This was like one of the hardest ones I had to choose from.
I'm gonna say my favorite individual soundtrack and then also my favorite overall soundtrack.
Okay. My favorite soundtrack is Across the Spider-Verse.
That's my overall favorite soundtrack.
Okay.
Yeah.
My individual soundtrack. Man. I mean, I honestly have to go with the Spider-Man theme from the Raimi movies.
That's a good one, but it is not the correct answer. The correct answer is the Electro theme.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. That is the theme, the best one. Yeah. I totally forgot about that one.
That is the only answer. But I mean, obviously, the Raimi theme. I think the ASM 1 theme is amazing. ASM 2 theme. I mean, can't really go wrong.
Yeah. Favorite adaptation. Oh, so for this one, I got, what was it, from live action adaptation or a live action and animated stuff like that, or just any.
I was assuming it meant anything that isn't comics.
Okay, yeah. Oh damn.
Mine would either be the Spider-Verse movies or the Insomniac Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah, I'm between Spider-Man PS4 Spectacular, honestly.
Right, that's a good answer.
I might have to go with Spectacular for this one. Favorite adaptation.
I would probably go with. I guess I'd go with the Spider-Verse movies. I
Okay.
guess. Um, Probably, yeah. Favorite villain?
Ooh, mine's Venom. I love
That's
Venom.
Can't go wrong. That's my number 2. My number 1 is Mysterio. Gotta go with my
Yep.
boy Quentin Beck. That would be my favorite Spider-Man villain. Favorite issue? I had a lot of trouble with this because
Yeah.
I feel like we're the same way. I'm not a person that usually like remembers specific issues. Um, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go ahead and say the Spider-Man 2018 annual. It's written by Saladin Ahmed. I think that maybe I'm probably mispronouncing it, but it the comic takes place like right when he got the symbiote suit, and like just shows him basically like going the relationship between him and the Venom symbiote suit, and also like him just going out and doing fighting crime with it. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's my favorite issue, but it's just the one I remembered the most when this came up.
Yeah. I had a lot of trouble trying to figure out what my favorite issue, so I just put it like not applicable. 'Cause I was thinking, I was like, I don't know. I think I'd guess just the issue where Spider-Man takes off the symbiote for the first time. It's the first thing that pops in my head. Or when he first meets the Fantastic Four back in his first run.
Okay. Yeah, it's tough for me because, I mean, there's just like a million issues. And
Yeah.
yeah. Favorite movie?
um.
What's your favorite? Okay, I mean, mine's Across the Spider-Verse, but what's your favorite movie and what's your favorite live action movie? Because I have a feeling your favorite movie is going to be one of the Spider-Verse movies.
Yeah. I mean, we did do it on the bracket. And if you
True.
guys haven't watched that episode yet, feel free to do so, where we rank our favorite comic book movie of all time. But it is Into the Spider-Verse.
But
Live
what is it?
action.
Yeah, what's your favorite live action? Because that's a
Oh
tougher
man,
question, I feel like.
it is. Yeah, it is tough. Try and put like nostalgia aside and not choose No Way Home. Uh, I don't know, man.
Mine is Far From Home.
Oh yeah,
Best Spider-Man movie, baby.
I just saw a thing on Twitter where people were saying like rank the live like all the Spider-Man movies. Everyone put Far From Home dead last.
Ooh, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I
Yeah,
genuinely don't get it. I swear people changed up on that movie. Like, I swear on my life people changed up on that movie.
you're right. People are professionals switching up of comic movies like a year or like later on down. But live action, I mean, I'm just gonna say No Way Home because it just has all of them, and
That's fair.
you can't really go wrong with that.
You can't. You can't. I don't think nostalgia is a bad thing in that movie. That's like, you know, that's the we all wanted it. We all wanted to see it.
Yeah, that's true.
You love most hate. Mine is definitely Far From Home.
Yeah.
Mine is
Yeah.
definitely Far From Home.
Um, I, this might be comic book Twitter talking, or just I don't know if this is like a general consensus. But when I first read Dan Slott's run on Spider-Man, I really liked it. When they first introduced Silk, um, it was weird because I think this was post Superior Spider-Man, like right, I think right after Superior Spider-Man. But I did find it weird about the whole Peter Parker Silk thing. I don't know if you know about
When they're
that.
getting at it, when they're
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, I'm like, okay.
I I I guess I mean I I don't want to say I like it because then I sound like I'm a creep. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just saying I get it because they were bit by the same spider, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah. And a lot of people don't like that retcon either, but like I'm like, it's pretty cool. I like it. But yeah, that's like I guess that's my thing. Dan Slott's run on Spider-Man, post Superior.
okay, I'm gonna change. Or you love most hate. I already answered. Okay, you hate most love. I'm gonna change this one for me because I don't really have an answer. I'm gonna change it to most overrated, and this is what I was
Okay.
saving. This is what I was saving.
Oh Christ.
Craven's Last Hunt.
No, you can't say that. No.
It's the most overrated.
Damn.
I think I feel exactly how you feel about Craven's Last Hunt for The Dark Knight Returns.
Oh,
I think it's like, I get it. I see why it's so impactful and why so many people love it, and I respect that. But for me, it's overrated.
I mean, it's only fair because I did the same thing with The Dark Knight Returns, so it's only fair. But damn. Oh, man.
It's still great, though. I still give it a 4 stars. It's still great.
That's fair. For me, I kind of the same thing with you where like I want to change it. Not necessarily hate, but dislike. And I gotta go with the Amazing Spider-Man 1.
True. That was what I was first going to say.
Yeah.
That was what I was first. Yeah. That was my first pick. Favorite artist? Mine's Mark Bagley. Like, definitely.
Fair. I got 2. I couldn't decide one or the other, so I put 2 and decided to cheat a little bit. One of them is Todd McFarlane.
Yeah.
Great Spider-Man.
Definitely.
Amazing Spider-Man. No pun intended. And the artist who did Kraven's Last Hunt, Mike Zeck.
2 great picks.
Yeah.
2 great picks. John Romita Sr.'s one you also, you got to put up there.
That's true.
There's a million amazing Spider-Man artists. I just got to go Mark Bagley because he's drawn 2 of my favorite versions of Spider-Man. One's like the more classic look, and then he also did Ultimate Spider-Man, which is 2 very different looks, but he nailed both of them, so that's why he's my favorite.
That's fair.
Favorite costume?
Easy for me. Mine's going to be the noir suit.
The noir suit?
Mm-hmm. Hands down.
I don't have an answer.
I know what your answer is going to be. It's Spider's Man.
Spider's Man. It's a good one. Like, if we're just talking Peter, well, I guess that's not Peter. I was going to say Scarlet Spider. I mean, I don't have an answer. I would say, just if we're talking all around Spider-Man, it's probably the Into the Spider-Verse suit with Miles.
Okay.
Just
I can
all
definitely see that.
possible Spider-Man suits. I think that's probably my favorite. Either that or the Scarlet Spider.
That's fair.
Either or.
Valid.
Yeah. When I'd say the Scarlet Spider, I mean the hoodie version. But it's probably my 2 favorite suits. But that could change I could have a different answer depending,
Yeah,
on the
it
day.
all depends on like what you read and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Favorite game?
I got 2.
You got 2?
Oh, yeah. Obviously, Spider-Man PS4. Second one is one that I would always play when I was a kid, and that was the Ultimate Spider-Man game app on like the running one.
Oh, dude, everyone loves this game. I never played
It's
that.
awesome. It's great. It is great. And apparently, I just saw today where apparently that game has like a lot of lore in a sense. Like I saw some guy say like I forgot what genre that game is because I know there's like
there's
a
Temple
minion
Run.
one.
It's like Temple Run.
Yeah. Apparently, there's like a lot of lore with that Spider-Man or whatever. But
People
love
love
it.
that game. I never knew that game existed. What I thought you were gonna say, and I was gonna give a shout out because Insomniac's definitely my favorite. But if you ever get the chance to play it, I like really really highly recommend it. Is Ultimate Spider-Man? It's on like the GameCube and I think the PS2. Dude, it's like the most I've ever seen like a comic book brought to life in probably any medium ever. Like it animates like comic panels and it does like boom like the like you see in comics. Like it's you should just like YouTube Ultimate Spider-Man cutscenes because they're like it's truly a comic book brought to life. Also, if your favorite costume is noir, we got to give a shout out to Shattered Dimensions. That's where it originated from. That game's awesome. I love that game.
It looks cool.
The most nostalgic Spider-Man thing.
The animated series from the 90s.
That's a good one. Mine's the Raimi movies. They're like the reason I love comics in general, probably. So definitely in specific, the first Raimi movie with Green Goblin. That favorite show?
Mine is Spectacular, and that's like the most recent one because I just finished it. I think over the summer or something like that, or even before the summer, and I really, really liked it. So I gotta go with Spectacular for that one.
I need to watch that badly. So I'm gonna say the '90s show. That's also very nostalgic for me, like it is for you. I'll go with that one for now. But I need to watch Spectacular. Favorite movie suit?
TASM 2, baby.
I'm torn between TASM 2 or like Homecoming just because of the eyes. I like the expressive eyes.
Yeah.
But the best overall suit, TASM 2.
Unless we get more of the suit that we see at the end of No Way Home, then maybe that might take over. But as of right now, TASM 2.
Favorite writer?
Again, another one that I have 2 for. It's either Stan Lee or J.M.D. Mateus, the writer of Kraven's Last Hunt.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, Stan Lee, he's Stan Lee.
Yeah.
I thought about this one for a while. I think I gotta say Bendis. He wrote Ultimate Spider-Man, and there's so much Ultimate Spider-Man, like so much. It's a lot.
And they're coming back too.
I saw
Ultimate
that.
Spider-Man is coming back.
Isn't Hickman writing it?
Yeah,
I think Hickman's writing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just so much Ultimate Spider-Man, and it's almost all of it is so good. So, I gotta go Bendis.
That's fair.
Favorite or guilty pleasure? I struggle with this. I don't know.
Yeah, I struggled over this one for a bit, but then I tapped into like the deepest crevice of my mind. I just remember this, and it is the. It's so stupid. It's the Lego Spider-Man stop motion videos on YouTube.
Okay.
Dude, I go back to those and like rewatch them. Like, this is great. I used to watch them all the time, and I revisit them every now and then.
Okay, that's a really good one. That's a really good one. I was gonna say just all of the crappy Spider-Man video games that I grew up on, which is like Spider-Man 3, like with Tobey Maguire, is a bad game, but I loved it. Spider-Man 1 is pretty bad, but I loved it. Spider-Man 2, everyone loves that game. But also the Andrew Garfield games, I played the hell out of those. Those games kind of suck, but I loved them. So those are guilty pleasures, I guess. And then last but not least, favorite side character.
Last one I got 2 for.
Okay.
Is J. Jonah Jameson, obviously, and Ben Urich.
Great picks. Mine is definitely Black Cat.
That's fair.
Love Black Cat, and I want Peter to date her. But all right, that'll be it, I think.
That is it. The more I see Spider-Man 2 content on online, the more upset I am for not having a PS5, man. Maybe by December. Hopefully by December.
Yeah, that's not too far off.
Yeah, but then again, I just got this PS4 very early last year, and I played the Spider-Man game without any problem. So
yeah.
I'm definitely gonna watch like the gameplays of that, and like I'm already like seeing all like the leaks and spoilers of the game right now, and it's pretty cool. Obviously, I won't say anything because midnight tonight will be the release.
I'll be at GameStop at midnight tonight. I'll be picking up my copy at midnight,
awesome.
And then I'll probably play till like 6 a.m.
Fair enough. I also did see that Insomnia tweeted out that it's like a patch thing you should download before playing the game, something like that.
Yeah, that downloads automatically as long as you have Wi-Fi. So.
Oh, okay, that's cool. But yeah. Oh man, I'm so mad. I'm just gonna play the first Spider-Man just to pretend it's Spider-Man 2. Like I've just like gaslight myself saying instead of like the scorpion like little fight scene, it's the Mysterio. Oh, this is all
Yeah,
Mysterio. Oh man, this is Mysterio.
there we go.
I just got gaslight myself with that. But yeah. Um, if you guys want to fill out your own little Spider-Man thing, your favorite blank blank whatever, we'll post it on our Twitter, Instagram,
Yeah.
Threads, all that stuff. But yeah, do you have any parting things to say while we're still here?
No, I'm glad I finally read this staple Spider-Man story.
Oh yeah,
Um, it was fun discussing it, and just Spider-Tober's been fun.
I know. I'm gonna miss it.
I know.
RP Spider-Tober.
One more Spider-Tober episode, and then we'll go back to our normal stuff. But yeah, it's been great.
Awesome. So for next episode, we're doing this Japanese Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, second episode. Very exciting. We started off with Japanese Spider-Man, and then we're ending it with Japanese Spider-Man, which is, I mean, it's kind of it's poetic in a sense. But yeah, I'm excited. Reading Kraven's Last Hunt makes me want to read more Spider-Man stuff, so I'll probably do that. So to fill in the void that I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know. I don't know, Twitter, Instagram, Threads. What are you excited for Spider-Man 2? Your favorite Spider-Man suit, person, costume, whatever, all that stuff. Story. What are your opinions on for Kraven's Last Hunt? Definitely let us know. Make sure to check out all our previous episodes if you haven't already. And make sure to check up on next week's episode, which is the last episode for Spider-Tober until Spider-Man PS5 3 comes out.
Yeah. That'll be on the PlayStation 6.
Yeah, probably. By then, I'll probably just... When Spider-Man 3 on PS6 comes out, it's probably when I'm going to get the PS5. But yeah, it's been great. And yeah, I'm excited for the last episode of Spider-Tober. And yeah, make sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at ComicsRTW. I am always on Twitter. I am also always on Instagram. I am almost never on Threads. And Frankie's uploading his little series of Insomniac Spider-Man comic reviews. Today he got upload the last one. They've all been great. I enjoy watching them. It makes me want to read Black Cat because I'm damn well not gonna read City
Don't read the others. Don't read the others. Read the Black Cat one, and honestly, whenever it goes to the DLC stuff, just
just skip over it.
Skip it.
Yeah, I wonder what they're gonna do with Spider-Man 2 besides the one shot. Hopefully it's better, but I doubt it.
It's not.
Yeah. But make sure to follow us on social media. Make sure to keep following us on Spotify and subscribe to us on YouTube. And yeah, we will see you on the next episode of Comics from the World and the last episode of Spider-Tober.